When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver sound of the lark.
What I really liked is when you described growing up and walking through.
Yeah,
that's a really nice snapshot
intro,
of you, the person, and then a bit more about you, the politician, why you've picked here, what it means to you, and I'll ask you a few other questions, okay, as we go along. And obviously, as it is pre-recorded, if you're not happy with what you've said, we'll do it again.
Yeah, sure, fine.
So the first thing is the easiest, is introduce yourself for me, first of all.
Yeah, my name's Paul Rimmer. I'm standing for the English Democrat Party in the mayoral election in Liverpool in 2016.
So where are we? Tell us where you brought me to.
We're on Belfield Avenue, where Bill Shankly lived in his heyday at Liverpool in the 1970s. I went to school in West Derby Village, which is about half a mile from here. And on the way home to Kremlin Drive in Tuebrook, I used to walk past this road, cross over Barnfield, the field there, and we found out that Bill Shankly lived in number 30, and it was a bit of a day, you know, would you knock and just sort of introduce yourself up to meet the great man. This was when he was at his true pomp in 1973-74, when Liverpool was still winning leagues and FA Cups. And me and my brother knocked on his door, and we were just a bit apprehensive about what we were about to face. But Bill come to the door, and what first struck me was he's such a short man. But he was wearing his red shirt and his red tie, and he said, what do you want, lads? I said, any signed photos, Bill? Thought I'd take a chance on that one. And he said, come in, lads, sit in the parlour, which is an amazing thing to get into Bill Shankly's house. Then he called out his wife, Nessie. He said, Nessie, get the lads some signed photos. And he said, would you like a squash, lads? I said, yeah, go on, we'll have an orange, Bill. So his wife, Nessie, come back with a tray with orange juice on and biscuits and some photos which Bill signed. And then he said, sit down, we'll have a little chat. And we were talking about Liverpool playing Tottenham that Saturday, and I remember that vividly. And he was asking us if we were going the game. I used to attend both Goodison and Anfield in those days. It was cheap to get in. And he just sort of introduced himself and asked us where we went to school and about our family. And it was really pleasant, actually, and we left. He said, time to go now, lads. So we left, and a couple of weeks later, we knocked again, just to see if there was any follow-up. And Bill did the same again. He invited us in, sat us down, and he started talking about his childhood in Scotland. He had 5 brothers who all became professional footballers, and he also had 5 sisters as well. And when he found out we went to West Derby Church of England school, he said, I was very committed to the church as a young man. He used to go to the Kirk every Sunday, he said, to the Sunday school. And he said that's where he learned the values that matter in life, the difference between right and wrong. And he said it's held him in good stead for the rest of his life. He said if you get your values, the right values, you can build anything on that. And he said honesty, he always used to say, honesty is what's important. Tell the truth, he said, and give everything you've got. And he had a word for people he disliked. He always used to call them devious people. Devious, he's a devious character. And so, you know, I learned quite a bit listening to Bill about his perspectives on life. What I loved about Bill Shankly was that he had this great sense of community, that we were all in it together. He loved this city and he loved all the people of this city, Evertonians and Liverpudlians. He used to say they're both the same temperament, both set of fans, passionate supporters. And but he said, you know, we're one, we look after each other, we encourage each other, you know, we look after the weak, the old, the young. And he had that great sense of community. He used to call himself a socialist, Bill. But he said, my socialism came from the teachings of Jesus Christ, he said. Love your neighbour, and that's how we should live. So, you know, it was a great sort of philosophy to live my life through. So I saw Bill. Bill was always a bit of a prophet. He was a teacher, you know, and he was someone to listen to. And what a great, you know, if we stood on those principles now, everything would be a lot better. But beyond that, Bill was also a man of great vision. I mean, he was never happy with the mediocre and the mundane. He always wanted the best that he could achieve. I remember because he said when he turned up at Anfield, he said it was like a toilet, he said. The stadium, it was dilapidated. Nobody would put any money into it. But he said it is great ambition, and what an ambition it was at the time, to take Liverpool from the second division and to make them the kings of Europe. I mean, it was a phenomenal vision that he had, and he laid the foundation. He never won the European Cup, although he played in it. But Liverpool went on, as we know, to win 5 European Cups, and that was the fulfilment of Shankly's vision. And in a sense, I think Jurgen Klopp now has rekindled that vision, because like Bill, his life is based on Christian principles. He knows the difference between right and wrong, and he's got that passion. You can see that Jurgen Klopp is only interested in being a success for the fans and the club. He's a genuine guy, he's an honest guy. I mean, I say this as an Evertonian, but I've always also had a strong affection for Liverpool, which has been unusual in this city, but we're just blessed with 2 great clubs in this city, so I like to see both of them prospering.
So do you think that's a metaphor then for your campaign to be Mayor of Liverpool? Tell us what this house has to do with your campaign to be the Mayor.
Yeah, absolutely, because I think if you're going to run a city and you've got the wrong values, what Bill called a devious character, the city's going to suffer. You need people who are honest and who are transparent at the top. And because Bill had that great sense of community, of involving the whole community in the project, that's important as well. You need to be open to the people. We don't want like the city to be run behind closed doors and secret meetings and private deals, which nobody knows how these decisions were made and came. So that openness is very important. But also the vision. I think Liverpool must have a vision of itself as the future. I was speaking actually to an Everton footballer, Ian Snowden, recently, and he said to me, this is the greatest city in the world. And he's an outsider, he's from Yorkshire. But to have that vision of Liverpool as the greatest city in the world, what's what we should aspire to. We should be the jewel in the crown of the United Kingdom, and we should be a great world city as we once were. So, this is the vision we should have for the city.
And how are you going to make that happen?
The important thing is, like Bill did, you need to start off with discipline. You've got to, you've got to have a controlled budget. We don't want the city full of debt. Debt's mounting up in this city, borrowings are increasing. So there's got to be discipline, there's got to be strict control of the budget. We don't want this city to be a high-tax city. The council tax going up this year by 4 times the rate of inflation, that imposes a lot of burdens on the working poor of this city. We want Liverpool to be a city where people can come and do business and thrive and prosper. So you've got to get the governance right. We need good governance in this city.
And what else? What about housing, for example? Because that's another issue that's divided politicians of all different colours in the city over the past few years, building on certain sorts of land, providing houses that people can afford, developers who want to build big tower blocks or student accommodation in the city. What's your housing policy?
Well, this is another aspect of Shankly's vision. It was inclusive and it looked after people, and we need to provide social housing for Scousers. My concern is, because of the way housing is being given out now, that people can come into the city from outside the Merseyside, from outside the UK, and go right to the top of the housing list. They've never contributed anything in terms of taxation, and they've never waited on the housing list, but they jump right to the top, and Scousers are finding themselves excluded from social housing in this city, and that needs to be addressed, that issue.
Do you have evidence for that?
Well, you can just see with your open eyes. I mean, since I saw at the last election, I figured that 500,000 foreigners are living in social housing in this country. And this is a time when housing is desperately in short supply. And local people are looking to social housing, but they're being pushed into the private sector. They're having to rent off private landlords. They're more expensive, quality isn't as good, and there's something wrong there. We should provide for our own first.
So, just to sort of summarise then, why should somebody vote for you on May the 5th?
Because I'm passionate about this city. I'm from this city, but I went to Cambridge University, I studied politics, I worked in the City of London, so I have a big vision. I have the ability to run this city properly, to make the right decisions, and to take this city forward in a way which will lead to prosperity and jobs for all. This is the thing, we've got to provide opportunities for Scousers to prosper in their city, so they want to stay here, raise families here. And like my family have lived on the banks of the River Mersey for over 1,000 years. You know, Rimmer was the original name for Southport, apparently. Otter Grimmer meals, the sandground of the sons of Rimmer. So I'm totally committed to this area. And the privileges I've enjoyed living here, the blessings I've enjoyed living here, I want to pass them on to my children and my grandchildren now. And so we're looking to the future to develop Liverpool into a greater city than it's ever been.
This is the land of the free, where the white cliffs meet the sea. 1,000 years of kings and queens, Oxford and Cambridge, English law, Charles Dickens and Bobby Moore, Drake and Nelson sailing the seven seas. But listen to me, people, these words you can't ignore. Today England needs her sons and her daughters like never before. Feel the pride, hear the call, from Land's End to Adrian's Wall. This is England, the land of St. George.